So I've just got myself a brand new Lumix S5IIX, and we've also just gone on an incredible Island Paradise trip with my wife and I to Boracay, and I really put this thing through its paces. Not only that though, I have had it for a couple of months now, so I've been able to take it through some of my professional work and see exactly what type of quality I can really pull out of this incredible camera. The camera is now a couple of years old, however it does pack an incredible punch, giving you 6K open gate, which of course you can use a lot more room top and bottom for your vertical content as well as your horizontal content for YouTube. As incredible as this camera is, what I want to answer in this video is, in 2026, can this camera keep up with the rest of the competition? Because even though it has incredible value for money, as time progresses, technology also progresses so quickly that everyone in this camera space seems to want to try and keep up. And as soon as there's a new release of a new technology, we all want to grab it straight away, even if it costs a fortune. I might be guilty of that. However, something like the Panasonic or the Lumix S5IIX, I believe, just gives so many different opportunities to people who want to buy something that is a budget affordable full frame camera that I would 100% put in the professional category, that you can also use for YouTube as well. The fact that you can record to SD cards and it has dual SD card slots with incredible battery life and also an SSD drive is a massive bonus in a camera of this size. It also offers waveforms to be able to get your exposure done correctly. The Vlog in this camera is incredible, and it's incredibly easy to color grade. As you'll see here, this was all filmed in Vlog. This wasn't B-RAW or anything like that, but you do have the option of RAW recording in the camera as well. Again, I could list a whole bunch of things that everyone on YouTube has already done, but under the hood of this camera is literally jam-packed with features that you will probably never get to even as a professional. But enough of that, this is about the video quality of this camera and whether you should be buying it in 2026. So let's go to Boracay, let's go and check out some of the island resort and how amazing this was, even in a vlogging scenario. I took this there, I wanted to see, can I vlog? Can I vlog with a camera like this, or is it too cumbersome? Is it not really the right fit? But let's go to Boracay and check that out. Baby, so what's your favorite thing about Boracay so far?
It forces you to relax. It's just peaceful. Everyone's happy, content. It's the atmosphere, I think, more than anything. The atmosphere is good.
Alright, now how awesome was that? My wife and I, we already want to go back. Boracay, Philippines, if you haven't been there, you definitely need to go. But I love the fact that the color contrast of this camera just seems to capture the environment perfectly. I did film all of that in 6K open gate in Vlog, but as I've color graded it, I really didn't need to do much at all. I just put the Vlog LUT over the top. I might have just brought down the highlights a little bit and increased the warmth slightly to capture the environment that we were in. But really that was about it. And I found it so simple and so easy to get the right exposure because I'm using the waveforms. I just expose them to about 55 to 65 RE depending on the lighting conditions that I'm in with Vlog, and it come out and it looked absolutely amazing. And that's more of a lifestyle vlog for the camera. So you could say that the hobbyist that wants something that's a little bit better than just a handheld vlogging camera or an action camera, somebody who's trying to create family videos that are a little bit more professional and just has that as their thing that they do. I'm like that. But what about somebody who's a professional? What about somebody who's wanting to use this for their professional work that's actually charging clients and want to produce some really incredible results that matches up with the competition of many other cameras? So I've taken this down to also do some of my more professional work, and check this out.
It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
Hi, my name is Rocky Balboa.
Take it off and make it so. Boom! Makes me club.
So coming from a Sony system, one of the things that I absolutely love about the Lumix S5IIX is I feel like in the vlog I can really bend and push and pull the colors incredibly well, and it keeps the skin tones exactly where I want them. I can have that blue saturated steel sort of tone in the background. I can keep the skin tones where they need to be, and it really does look phenomenal. In fact, maybe because I've used Sony systems for so long and Canon before that, coming across to Lumix, I was like, you know, maybe it's going to be a bit more of a difficult system to get used to. Maybe I'm going to relearn how to use Vlog or all of that sort of stuff. And don't get me wrong, I did find this system more difficult to use, that's for sure. I found like going through the navigation of the settings and all of that, definitely more difficult than Sony, but you do get used to it. Color grading the footage though, I felt like Vlog is probably the easiest footage that I have ever had to color grade in my life. I think that C-Log 3 in Canon is the worst. I just don't like that. I feel like it's extremely difficult to keep your highlights and skin tones the right way. People do it really well, so that's probably a me thing. And with the Sony, what I don't really like about S-Log 3 is I feel like trying to get those really warm, rich tones and keep the skin tones where they need to be without being too saturated, I also found difficult. So coming onto the Vlog with Lumix, I thought that maybe we'd have something that we need to work with, and we get to work around these kind of things when we're color grading. We find the flaws in them and we just make them work for us as we're doing professional work. But with Vlog, I did find it extremely, extremely easy to be able to actually go through to color grade the footage and to get that professional look, even that cinematic look at the end of the day. One thing that I should mention is I've only got one lens for this camera. So one lens for the camera, and that is the 24-60 f2.8. That's the lens that I started with, and honestly, I don't think that I need another one. The option that this camera has, which I really love, is called hybrid zoom. So you can't use hybrid zoom in 6K open gate, but if you go to 4K 25, which is what I use, or 4K 30, whatever you're using in your country, you can zoom up to 93 millimeters with this lens. Now, obviously that crops in on the sensor, but it is a 6K sensor, so as you're cropping in, you're still getting high quality, high resolution footage, and you really have the versatility from a 24 millimeter lens all the way up to a 93 millimeter lens. This is really, really incredible and will suit most of the situations that you're going to be using videography for. Sure, it's not a 70-200 if you're doing weddings or maybe golf vlogs or something like that, but in terms of a basic lens, if you're getting this camera and you're wondering what lens do I start with, then I highly recommend this one. The next thing about the S5IIX that I personally love is that everything on the Boracay trip that we did, that we filmed, was all handheld. And the stabilization on this camera is absolutely nuts. In fact, it's absolutely insane. Again, I found that Canon was the worst. Sony got a little bit better with that electronic stabilization, but the e-stabilization that the Lumix S5II has, I just found absolutely incredible. I set it in high, and then when we were going on the boat ride, I mean, we're going on a boat on a water that's rocking up and down, and it's a speedboat, so it's really kind of hammering across these waves. And there's no jitter, there's no shutter, it's super, super smooth, the image is incredibly stable, and I was blown away by it looking at it on the back of the screen, but I thought maybe, you know, just looking on the back of a little screen, it will show up more on the computer, and it didn't. It just stayed incredibly stable. Then when we got into the bus truck looking thing, that was incredibly bumpy. That was actually more bumpy than what the boat was, and yet it still stayed a really stable image, which for someone like me, I really love that, because even when I go into professional environments like this one, I took the gimbal, but I just didn't like it. I took it straight off the gimbal after about 2 minutes, and then I just decided to do everything handheld. The ability to be able to have this handhold and keep it stable and have stable footage is really, really important for me, because it makes it a lot more easy, it makes it more versatile, it makes shooting scenes a lot quicker, and I don't have to worry about getting back to the computer and going, oh gee, wow, that looks really, really jittery, maybe I'm gonna have to put an effect over it or try and stabilize it in post. I didn't have to do any of that, and I really love the Lumix camera for this. Within the Lumix camera, you also get a whole bunch of color profiles. One of my favorite ones is Cinelike D2, and the Cinelike D2 color profile is something that I personally use as one of my presets. I have it in 4K 25. That's the one that I also have the hybrid zoom with, although if you do want the hybrid zoom with Vlog, that's possible as well. But with the Cinelike D2, I really like that because I went to my son's birthday party and I was able to just whip the camera out. I'm not thinking about doing anything crazy. I'm not thinking about color grading it. I just want to have something to remember his birthday party by and have a great time. So I was able to pull the camera out, I'm going through and I'm just filming all these things and I'm putting it together and it looks great. Not only that, if you're somebody who doesn't want to spend a whole lot of time color grading, you can get some really rich, warm tones and something that looks fantastic straight out of camera without doing any editing to it at all, which is exactly what this is. You get that high quality, full frame look, you get a really rich, warm tone, and you get that cinema-like footage. So really, when we're thinking about it with the Lumix S5IIX, and I've gone through all of these things from a videography point of view, we are going to have a photography video coming after this as well, where I take some of my favorite photos that I've ever taken on the planet with this camera, with the 24-60. So you're not going to want to miss out on that video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, and that one will be coming out very shortly as well. But in terms of a videography camera, I really don't see any need to upgrade into anything else yet, because the value for money that I can get out of something like this, I could literally buy 2 of these cameras and 2 of these camera setups, and I wouldn't be that far behind one setup with a Sony a7 IV, for example. So the image quality that I'm getting out of this, the versatility that I'm getting, the 6K open gate, there are a whole lot of massive bonuses that I would use this for my professional work, as well as my day-to-day fun YouTube sort of stuff like this. And I really don't see any need or point to spend any more money. I just think Lumix have nailed it. Should also mention, which should be obvious by my subscriber base, this is not a sponsored video, but if you do want to show me some love, then hit that subscribe button. Okay, so let's get down to some of the things that maybe I don't like so much. One of them is that the 4K 50 footage does have a crop, and it has a considerable crop. It still does look good. I would just prefer, and this is really asking a lot because I've already given you so much in this camera, it's really asking a lot, but I would prefer to have 4K 50, 4K 60 with no crop. If that could be put in as a firmware update somewhere, that would be amazing. I just wonder if they're a little hesitant to do that, because if they did that, it would take away from their S1 or their flagship models, which do have some extra features as well. But I don't see the need for a lot of people to go into those models if this didn't have some drawbacks. So maybe they do have the capability to do it, and maybe they just are kind of withholding that, which I understand as well. The next one is the function menu set. I found it was a little bit clunky trying to get through. Changing some of the settings within there just seemed like they should be turned on as standard. One of them, when I got the camera opened up out of the box, it had this setting where no matter what I did with the settings or the ISO, it didn't change anything on the back screen. I've forgotten what it is now, but I changed that, so that should be standard. And then a couple of other things that you got to go through and kind of find in the menu. I just think they could probably simplify that, but now I'm used to it though. Now I'm used to it coming from Sony this. Now that I'm used to it, I think that it's fine. It just took a little bit of learning there. All of that being said, guys, should you buy the Lumix S5IIX in 2026? Now, if you've already thought about this camera, then you probably purchase it, to be honest. If you've gone through and you've looked at all of the specs, if you are on the fence about purchasing it, I would 100% just recommend you go and get it. It is my favorite camera that I've ever used. The 24-60 f2.8 lens, like I said, I think that that is a professional lens, even though it's not their S Pro lens, but you will get professional results out of this lens. With the hybrid zoom option, you also have the option of going all the way up to 93mm, which is really incredible. Then if you use hybrid zoom in photography, we'll talk about this in the next video, I think you get up to like 180mm. It's ridiculous using this one lens. So at the moment, I don't really have a need for another lens. It's 2.8 on a full frame camera is plenty good enough. If you want to increase that bokeh, then you can just move back and zoom in a little bit. You can do some things with your videography that make it look a little bit more like a 1.8 or a 1.4. if you know the tricks of the trade. But that's it from me today, guys. I really do hope you liked this video. I hope that I've given you a whole bunch of video examples with the Lumix S5IIX that definitely whet the palate and make you go and check this camera out. I have officially moved across to the L-mount Alliance from Sony. I don't see any need to go back at this point. I feel like the offering that you get, the value for money that you get, the lens options that they have now, even with the third-party lens options, is phenomenal, and I think that everybody should check something like this out. It has an internal fan. It has 6K open gate. It has so many different features like dual card slots. You can record directly to an SSD drive as well. I mean, the options and the tech that this thing has for the value is ridiculous. So check it out, and I'll see you guys on the next video.